Today, we're going to peel back the layers of history to uncover a story about a lost genius, a medieval prayer book, and the incredible science that brought ancient secrets back to life.
So our story kicks off, believe it or not, in a 1998 auction house. And the item up for grabs? A battered, 1,000-year-old book of prayers. I mean, it looked pretty unassuming, damaged by mold and time, but it was hiding something huge.
And get this, someone was willing to pay $2 million for it. $2 million. Now that's a whole lot for an old prayer book, right? So you got to ask yourself, why? What could possibly make this thing so valuable?
Well, the real value wasn't what was written on the pages, but what was written underneath the prayers. It was kind of like a historical treasure map, where X marked a spot that had been erased for centuries.
You see, the book was what's called a palimpsest. Back in the day, parchment was super expensive. So what do you do when you need to write something new? You just take an old book, you scrape the ink off the pages, and you write right over it. It was, the ultimate form of recycling, but it also meant that entire worlds of knowledge could literally be scrubbed out of existence.
And that is our secret. Because underneath those 13th century prayers, a team of scientists would later find the ghostly, erased words of Archimedes of Syracuse, the greatest mathematician of the ancient world. An entire library of his lost works, hidden in plain sight.
Now, we all know Archimedes from that one famous story, right? But the man was so much more than a naked guy in a bathtub. Let's separate the legend from the absolutely astonishing reality. This is the classic Archimedes moment. The story goes that he was so psyched about a discovery he made in the bath that he just bolted, running through the streets of Syracuse shouting, "Eureka!" The legend is fun for sure, but the reality is pure genius. The king of Syracuse had this suspicion that a goldsmith had mixed cheaper silver into his new golden wreath. So Archimedes realized that gold is denser than silver, which means a pure gold wreath would displace less water than a mixed metal one of the same weight. By dunking it, he could measure its volume with precision and prove the fraud. This wasn't just a random aha moment. It was the birth of hydrostatics.
And then there's this legendary boast. I mean, talk about confidence. It just perfectly captures the sheer scale of his ambition and his deep understanding of physical laws.
Of course, he wasn't actually trying to move planets. He was explaining the power of the lever, which is the foundation of mechanics. And he really put these principles into practice, designing these terrifying war machines, like giant cranes that could literally lift Roman warships out of the water to defend his home city. His legends were grounded in brilliant, real-world engineering. But Archimedes' thinking went way beyond the tangible world of war machines. He also applied his mind to the purely conceptual, thinking not just about the world, but about the entire cosmos. This sounds like a kid's question, doesn't it? Something impossible to answer. But for Archimedes, impossible was just a starting point. He decided he was actually going to calculate it. Now, to tackle this problem, he first had to solve an even bigger one. The Greek number system at the time just couldn't handle numbers that large. It basically maxed out at a myriad, which is 10,000. So what does Archimedes do? He just invents a whole new system. He created this amazing system of orders and periods, which was essentially using powers of 10 to the power of 8. It was a totally revolutionary way to express unimaginably large quantities, kind of a precursor to modern scientific notation. He built a ladder to the stars, one mathematical rung at a time. So what was his answer? After all that, he estimated that it would take no more than 10 to the power of 63 grains of sand to fill the universe as he understood it. That's a 1 followed by 63 zeros. A number so vast it's hard to even wrap your head around, but it was a number he could name, write down, and reason about. Incredible. But Archimedes' greatest intellectual leap was arguably his work with infinity. This is where he planted the seeds for a branch of mathematics that wouldn't be formally invented for another 2,000 years. Calculus. He used this technique called the method of exhaustion. And the idea is just brilliant in its simplicity. If you want to find the area of a curved shape, like a circle, you can't just use a simple formula. So what you do is you fill it up with shapes you can measure, like polygon. Look at how this works. You start with a square inside the circle. The area is close, but it's not perfect, right? Then you double the size to an octagon. Okay, getting closer. Then a 16-sided polygon. Even closer. By repeatedly increasing the number of sides, the area of the polygon exhausts the area of the circle, getting infinitely close to the true value.
I mean, that is the core concept of integral calculus right there.
Which brings us right back to our mysterious prayer book. Because for centuries, some of Archimedes' most profound work, including his own explanation of these methods, was just lost to the world. That is, until this palimpsest was rediscovered.
I mean, just think about the incredible journey of this knowledge. It was copied in the 10th century, erased in the 13th, lost for 700 years, sold at an auction, and then finally brought back to light in the 21st century. It's just wild.
So how in the world do you read an invisible text? Well, first, after years of really careful conservation, scientists hit the pages with multispectral imaging that's using different wavelengths of light to make the faint text pop. For the really damaged pages, they went even further, using a particle accelerator to scan for the faintest traces of iron in the original ink. It was an epic feat of technological detective work.
And what they found was just breathtaking. They found his lost treatise, The Method, where he explains his use of infinity. They found a work called the StockChecker, which turned out to be the earliest known study of combinatorics. That's basically the mathematics of counting arrangements. And on top of all that, the book also contained erased speeches from ancient Athens and a lost commentary on Aristotle. It was an absolute intellectual treasure trove.
The StockChecker puzzle asked a simple question. How many different ways can you arrange these 14 pieces of ivory to form a perfect square? The answer, as it turns out, is 17,152. And this wasn't just a game. It was foundational work in a field of math that's absolutely critical for modern computing.
So, why does this all matter? Well, because the discoveries in the palimpsest showed that Archimedes was even more advanced than we ever knew. His thinking on infinity directly foreshadows calculus. His work on combinatorics is a key part of the bedrock of computer science. The man was truly thousands of years ahead of his time.
And that leaves us with one final thought. The story of the Archimedes palimpsest proves that history is not a closed book. It really makes you wonder, what other profound secrets, what other lost geniuses are still out there, hidden just beneath the surface, waiting for us to find them?